Welcome to another exciting edition of Knights of the Dirty Table. I am your host, Fitchburg's Merrick Henry, and today I have two guests with me. We have Sir Wayne Dwyer.
Hello.
And we have Sir Jack Lowe.
Hello.
Joining us for the first time on the show. Jack, we are thrilled to have you, my friend.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
And today's episode, we are talking about Spider-Man Far From Home. This is your official spoiler warning if you haven't seen the movie yet, but as of this video, it's been a few weeks since it's been out, so yeah, Barney's hiding in a corner. He hasn't seen it yet. I tried to get him to see it, and he just hasn't budged. He has a life, I guess.
Dude, it's so good. You want my ticket?
He's willing to give you a free ticket. Go for it.
You gotta see Far From Home.
Well, I certainly loved it. I saw the film with Jack. We saw the Homecoming film a couple years back together.
Yeah, so
That's the only way to really go see movies with the person who saw the first one with.
Yeah.
Separate friends for each franchise. I have my four friends, my Cap friends.
I actually did that for a while.
I
lost track of who I had to go see movies with.
Dude, I know what you mean. Yeah, especially in phase one, it was a lot easier to keep track.
Yes. I invited everyone I knew for all the Avengers films, and then by the second movie I realized I don't know if I could do this anymore. This is too much money.
Well, I remember we actually really bonded when we did, even though we didn't get to spend it together, we did the Marvel movie marathon back when it was just up to Age of Ultron. And that was 40 hours or something like that.
We went in for Wednesday, 6 p.m., and we came out Thursday evening at 9:30 after seeing 11 films.
I remember telling you can go to sleep during Iron Man 2 and...
I strategically fell asleep. I was excited to finally see Iron Man 3 for the first time. I remember falling asleep, I think, during, I'm trying to remember which one came first. Somewhere around Captain America, fell asleep through all of Thor. I woke up during Avengers, during the Battle of New York. And I'm like,
so you had
good morning
time to wake up. Well, that plus,
smash.
plus all the explosions.
I would have done the big Marvel movie marathon that just happened for Endgame, where you see all 22 films in one sitting.
I do that all the time. It's do that in my sleep.
$90 is pretty worth it for 22 movies, considering the discount on the food and everything else that you're getting. I mean, they had shower stations, and it's an insane living style.
At least they had shower stations, because there was going to be someone that
did not have shower stations at Age of Ultron.
No, because it was too short.
That's true.
This was 3 days.
Yeah, I gotta say, I felt different. You live on theater food for that long, and it's oh goodness, I'm surprised I still like popcorn, but I do.
So we'll get away from the gross thoughts, and we'll go into Spider-Man Far From Home. I will start with Jack. What were your thoughts on Spider-Man Far From Home?
I really, really liked it. Now, I've been rewatching the Raimi trilogy just to kind of think back to the first time we got to see Spider-Man on film.
For the record, the first film, I think, has aged decently well, all things considered. It's not as bad.
Some of the effects are pretty bad, when
some of the writing's pretty cheesy.
No, but Willem Dafoe is Green Goblin.
The skeletons are awful.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe chewing the scenery is the best part, though.
No question. Sorry, continue.
But yeah, so I thought about it in that context, and for me, I loved Far From Home because it's in this new trilogy. I think a lot of people have been criticizing Tom Holland's Peter Parker for not being the Peter Parker we know enough, and I honestly think he's probably one of the closest. So if you want to know where I stand on that, let me make that clear. But what I loved about this was I think it answered a lot of those criticisms, and it gave us a more personal Peter Parker story. Yes, it's still in Stark's shadow. Yes, it still is about Stark's tech, but it's still a Peter Parker story. I loved Mysterio, and I loved the way his effects went. We can talk more about that scene later.
Right,
that scene was awesome.
But everything about his problems were personal, trying to connect with MJ and share his feelings about her, trying to keep his identity under wraps, and trying to balance his personal life between his superhero life, and realizing that I don't think it's been said on this screen yet, but that whole great power, great responsibility thing, that's what this whole movie was about, because he wanted to shirk that so badly to Mysterio.
Right.
I don't want this responsibility.
But he was also looking for, unintentionally looking for a father figure too in Mysterio. That Spider-Man Mysterio relationship as a semi-replacement for Tony Stark Iron Man.
Marvel has a tendency to have father figures.
Yes, they do.
And having bad relationships with father figures.
Well, I think with an absence of Uncle Ben, it's kind of a necessary thing.
I liked how in Civil War, how they're you already know the whole thing. They literally just go, I let someone down once.
We've got 10 years of Spider-Man stories already.
So you already knew that.
Because that's the worst part of Batman versus Superman is it's like, oh man, come on, I don't want to watch this again.
I was fine with a 3-minute introduction into the film. I didn't mind them touching on it. I had a problem with them going back to it later on in the film, but that's another conversation for another
so many
day.
thoughts on that movie.
That being said, let's go to you, Sir Wayne Dwyer. What are your thoughts on Far From Home?
All right, about 6 months ago, I saw the best Spider-Man movie. We all know where I'm going with this.
Oh, yeah, fair.
Yeah. It's the best one. It captures the idea of what it means to be Spider-Man more than any other movie. I'm not saying that Far From Home was a bad movie. I actually liked it. But comparing it to that movie,
You can say the name.
yeah.
We're not stuck under copyright.
I want to have people in suspense. Into the Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse to me is the best Spider-Man movie. I mean, like, I love...
Here.
Even our...
Guy who hasn't seen Far From Home commenting.
Agrees. It's just the best movie. And
We
like,
love you, Barney.
I liked how they made jokes about it. Like how, like, all right, this is how the story starts. Let's do it again. And they kept on going over the origin story and everything. How they make fun of it. It's a lot like Lego Batman for me. Like how Lego Batman...
Such a good movie.
Lego Batman is everything you want in a Batman movie and jokes. And lots and lots and lots of jokes.
I didn't like that one very much.
You don't like it?
I don't know. I fell asleep.
Oh, you should.
Maybe I need to watch it again. Maybe.
I mean, let's get nuts.
I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm not trying to be that guy.
Let's Get Nuts has so many references to Batman.
I was so excited to see it. I almost want to put that up.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so it was just a bad day.
It was just
I guess.
it's
I
a
don't
good
know.
movie. It happened to be with Big Hero 6.
So you love Into the Spider-Verse as a great Spider-Man
I love Into the
story.
I watched it right before I went to see Far From Home with Merrick, so like I was like kind of on the same page because it was on Netflix. So.
Yeah.
Oh, right,
I went back
right.
and we watched it, and like, I absolutely loved it.
Oh, it's such a great film.
It is.
I think it's one of the best films in the past 10 years.
I agree with you. Like, someone once pointed out to me that this is going to be the Spider-Man equivalent of Mask of the Phantasm, which is the best Batman movie.
That's fair.
I agree with you. Like, I definitely think Into the Spider-Verse is a better movie because it does so much more than just tell you about Spider-Man. It honors comic books in a visual medium in a way that's never been done before.
That, and plus he isn't in anyone's... Miles isn't in anyone's shadow.
Oh, having Miles there to have that story told.
I wasn't really a big fan of
so
Miles
happy for that.
until I saw that movie, and then until I played the Spider-Man video game.
I read the Ultimate series, and I read
the Ultimate series up to where Peter Parker died.
Is it fair though
But I
to
haven't read the
compare? Is it fair to compare a Spider-Man crossover film along the lines of kind of Avengers and similar to Justice League in certain ways to an individual Spider-Man story though? Because you're not really focusing on one. The central character is Miles into the Spider-Verse, but you're also learning more about this particular Peter Parker and who he is,
and
Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man Noir, as
Yes.
opposed to focusing on one Spider-Man who's been involved in a previous crossover
But
film
like,
with the story essentially on him.
I feel like the Tom Holland Spider-Man, like I like him a lot. I think he's a good Spider-Man. He's funny.
I think he's the best one of the live action
Out
ones.
of the live action.
I think he's the best Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Yes, that's the thing.
That's
they-
the key thing.
Yeah,
here.
they really. Like,
One's
the other
good
two
one
did
way,
have-
Yeah.
one's good the other, but
Yeah.
they got both here.
They got both of them with that. Like, the thing about Holland is that I feel like he's always going to be under Iron Man's shadow, and I don't want him to be like that.
Well, that's what this movie was trying to do, was to say, listen, that's what he's coping with the whole movie.
I understood that, and I liked that. Like,
It's only going to take a third film to kind of get out of that shadow. I mean,
But, like-
Endgame just happened, but a few years down the line when they do Spider-Man 3, if contracts work out between Sony and Disney MCU, we're
Why
going
wouldn't
to
they?
move
'Cause
on.
they make
The
some
world
big-
moves on from things. Captain Marvel is going to become the face of the franchise moving forward.
and I'm
we're all
done
gonna
with
get
that.
so
Oh my
invested
god,
with
I did
Captain
not
Marvel.
like Captain Marvel.
Oh, I like Captain Marvel. I thought it was good.
I
thought it
don't
fit
like
nicely.
Carol Danvers as a character. I've never found her interesting.
Oh, I don't mind her. I think she's fine. And like I think that we just didn't get enough of her. We got like the brainwashed her recovery. Like she didn't really know who she was the whole movie. So my only criticism is that I didn't really know Carol. I just knew Captain Marvel by the end.
Yeah.
But as far as oh gosh, what was I going to say? Oh, one thing I really want to point out is that by the end, I got to say, I think this had the best Spidey action. Like all of the moves he was pulling with the drones at the end.
Everything in
was
relation
awesome.
to Mysterio,
Oh my God. Like,
even
I
the
was-
dream sequence, and especially the end, it definitely was
that
wonderful
dream
Spider-Man
sequence
action.
was everything I wanted out of a Mysterio.
It was everything I wanted out of
know,
Mysterio Part 2.
Yeah, I was fooled from the you're fooled from the very beginning. Like you think Nick Fury's actually there, and like that's
Sorry, Barney.
Yeah, like we're doing spoilers, right? Like,
Yeah, we are.
We're doing
going
spoilers.
full-blown
Barney don't got a
spoilers.
choice.
Heads up,
He has
everyone.
to suffer
this
through
is your
it.
fault.
Those headphones are on really tight onto Barney
You think
right now.
Fury's there, and like it's like I had to think about it 20 minutes after that sequence.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, so like Fury wasn't there at all, and the way that Mysterio and his team played it, I loved how they called back to Iron Man 1. Like I
like that
rewatched
too.
Iron Man 1 and I was giggling.
Was
even
he
more
actually
at that
there?
scene. Yeah, that's the same guy. Yeah.
Is it?
It's the same actor.
Oh, yeah, same actor.
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was, I think that was not the biggest mind-blowing moment in the film. I think everyone knows what that part was, mid-credits scene. I'm being kind to Barney
we'll
here.
get to that.
I want him to enjoy it. I don't know how much longer we can hold on to this.
Barney, you just need to run out of the room. Just let us
One
say it
thing
real
I-
quick.
If we can dial back to the beginning,
Yeah.
I liked the pacing of I wish we had more of Spidey in New York. I always like Spidey to be
I
in
like
New York.
Spidey in
It's
New
like,
York,
that's
too.
where he fits. And I can't wait to see on the DVD or whatever DVD of the like
The olden days.
yeah.
olden days
When I
when
get
they
it
had
on
Blu-ray.
digital on iTunes, I will be very excited.
VHS.
Oh man, VHS was the way to go.
Those vintage VHSs they make for those are the bomb though. Like,
Yeah,
when they
they
make
are.
them look like they came out then.
Yeah.
But crap.
You were talking about Spider-Man being in New York, and you
New
wanted
York.
to see more of...
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see like apparently there's a small like extra video of like extra footage about
Yeah. A lot
him
of the stuff that was in the
preparing for it.
trailer, him getting like his passport and all his toothbrush and stuff, like him going to the food shop. I can't remember what it was in Homecoming, but yeah.
the deli.
I loved how they also started this one. Yeah, I want to see more of that deli. I love that guy.
There's probably that whole action sequence too
I
that
will
they want to
say-
not show
I
in
will
from the
say
trailer and
that,
the film that they'll...
that blip video.
Homecoming
Yeah.
does have one of my favorite lines, which is, "Hey, Spider Guy, do a flip."
Yeah,
I don't know why. I just
whole
love
montage
that
is
part.
great. That lady bought me a churro. But I love that the video in the beginning because I thought that it was the right way to kind of shift. Like, hey, listen, we know how hard Endgame was emotionally to get through. So
Hearing the music of
Let's let it
Whitney
out.
Houston at the beginning of a Spider-Man film was never something
That-
that I thought I would need.
I
but
got a
it
lot of
was
flashbacks to
perfect.
high school doing like seeing like the morning news program things. Like
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they nailed that tribute so well.
The mic boom when it just kind of drops.
Well, I thought that like everyone was wondering like how are they going to address the cultural shift of half the world being 5 years older than the other. And I thought that they did a good job of playing that for laughs for the most part in a way that just kind of made it like, hey, listen, it's changed a few things, but life is still life. It goes on.
Right, and
Yeah.
not completely rewarping all of the characters in the particular franchise, in the Spider-Man franchise. Like,
Yeah.
this event has kind of changed us forever, but we're still the same people. Just one in particular is going to be affected the most, which makes the most sense. But MJ is still roughly the same. You still have Ned, who's still the same. Which, by the way, I have never laughed more at a Marvel movie except maybe Avengers. This
that was
movie
so
was
funny.
hysterical, and that was because of Ned. and his.
So
We have to go on a
he's-
European bachelors. Yeah, we hooked up on the plane.
I know.
That was hilarious.
Instantly caved. But like, yeah,
As
like
soon
when
as
I
I
saw
got a
him,
handout, she's like, "Yep, it's mine."
he's a perfect like they pulled a lot of what made Ganke from the Ultimate Spider-Man series once Miles took over.
Yep.
So funny, like he was such a great side character for Miles. So when I saw Ned in Homecoming, I'm like, that's Ganke right there. And I think that they did a good job of making him like Peter never really had that kind of buddy. Like
Yeah, I mean,
way-
like the closest we would probably have would be Harry.
yeah, and like we haven't even seen Harry at all
Yeah.
in this because
I
Right.
think they're doing the right thing by keeping Harry Osborn far away from it, because
At least for the
because
moment.
because of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and how shitty that movie is. Sorry, Barney, but it deserves to be said. That movie was bad.
I was insulted by the end of that movie.
I was insulted by the end of that movie too.
Yeah.
I was sad that we got such a shift because I'm all for, as someone who's invested in filmmaking as well, I think you would agree, getting invested in a film universe and putting in the time and production. And it feels like at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2, we had wasted 4 years just because people got cold feet because the film only made this much amount of money, even though most other films would be very successful to make $500 million.
That and the
but
head
it
of
wasn't
Sony
good
also fired Andrew Garfield because he couldn't show up because he was sick.
I remember that.
enough. Yeah, that too.
That's what happens when everything's controlled by the executives up at the top. Like that.
Yeah.
That series had a problem with being producer controlled from the beginning. Like it was very much a manufactured reboot. And
Yeah, it was. Hey, we
unfortunate
need to
see
hold
it
on to
go
the
that
life.
way.
Like
And
what happened to
then-
Fantastic Four.
What blows my mind is the same writer of that film would go on to take on the Dark Universe for Universal's Monsters series. I don't understand how these people continue to get jobs.
Yeah, that's well. I mean, you make a great pitch and you sell it to the right person who's your
God,
friend
but
with the
just
right person.
become
And then
the
you go,
man
hey,
of the
but
universe.
hey, do you guys remember those awesome Brendan Fraser movies that were kind of like Indiana Jones?
Oh
And they're
man,
like, yeah, we all remember those movies. The first two were really good. The third one was,
Well, that's not this.
I love the first two, even if the CGI was awful.
Oh.
What I loved about because like everyone's mad about to kind of bring it back to Far From Home.
Yeah.
With
by all means.
Of course,
Peter,
that is what we are.
Oh,
What we're
that's
on.
what we're here for.
because I just looked back and I'm like, oh yeah.
We can't talk about the movie. We got to talk about
What do you
Far
call
From
it?
Home.
One scene that killed me. I knew it would. I just didn't know like where it fit in the movie. Was the scene on the plane with Happy. I love
Yes.
how Happy has taken over a lot of that emotional weight.
I liked
with
Happy
Peter.
a lot more in this movie than I did in
Which is
other ones.
remarkable because, I mean, when you look at it in even more depth, Jon Favreau has been there since the beginning as the
has.
director.
He
I mean, it's
has.
not just he was a random actor that they brought in. He really
started.
helped push what he helped form
Yeah.
what the vision was going to be for the MCU moving forward.
Yeah.
That
You
whole
know,
scene
so
on the
that
plane
has
could
way
be-
more meaning.
That whole scene on the plane when he's talking to him and everything, and trying to cheer him up, and how he tells him, "You just need to be Spider-Man, not trying to be Tony."
Exactly.
That scene was perfect.
And Zeppelin sounded great.
And like
Oh,
the best.
I'm so mad at you right now.
And when he went over to like make his suit and stuff, like it's like, oh yes, Peter's making his own suit, and just like the way Happy looked at him, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's like when Happy told Tony's daughter Morgan,
Yep.
he
Yeah.
was like, you can have all the cheeseburgers. Like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. 3,000 of them. Before we wrap up this video, there's one more question that I wanted to pop up. So at the time of this video, the Spider-Man Far From Home film has not made $1 billion. And as of this video, it was discovered within the last week or so that in the Marvel contract between Sony and Disney and Marvel Studios, that for all the appearances that Spider-Man's made, you know, Civil War and the two Avengers films and his main first film, this film needed to make $1 billion. So, you know, if it doesn't make $1 billion, all of Spider-Man's film rights and all the characters will revert 100% back to Sony, no questions asked. They will have complete control over a third film. That being said, one, as of this video, do you think it'll make $1 billion? And two, is it the worst thing in the world if Sony does get complete control again for a third Spider-Man film set within the MCU?
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one. So Sony has not shown much tact when it comes to handling the Spider-Man properties and Rogues Gallery. We can look at Venom and say,
I never
yes, it's
saw Venom.
okay. It's okay.
Yes, there's a lot to like about it,
I
but
was like-
you
I was
compare
like-
the
There's a
writing,
lot of
it's
flaws.
this would have been great if
I
it was
remember when Venom
2007.
came out, and I was like, Venom without Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, I
It just
wanna see
doesn't work.
I wanna see
It just
Spider-Man.
doesn't make sense. So I feel that
Barney shaking his head.
I don't really trust them to do it right. And like, is it going to be in the MCU? Because like, if it's not, they are making a terrible decision.
No, I think it would be. I think what Sony's done with the branding of, even though they're making the box office money, they're not getting in the merchandising. Even
Yeah.
though they're getting the branding of Spider-Man in there, they could ultimately still win the war. Ultimately, by even though they pull out Spider-Man, they'll still have the
Just
branding
wait
and
2
ammunition
years.
going in.
Disney's just gonna buy Sony at this point.
They'll buy everything. Whatever.
I'm hoping that Sony will see sense. That seems like a ridiculous part to put in a contract. And I kind of like after Endgame, like, you know, they have to realize that people only have so much money to spend on Marvel movies.
And yet the film currently is at over 850 million. So I mean, it's not that
It's
impossible.
almost there at this
Yeah,
point.
like
It's almost there. I would not be
might-
surprised
I
if
Just
they made
give
it.
China
again,
2
so-
more weeks, they'll get it done.
But before we,
Fair.
what about that after credit scene? I don't want to.
All right, we
gotta
have
talk
to.
about
We're
we have to talk
so sorry about this.
Probably excluding Barney. This is going to hurt so much.
you might wanna
Excluding Stanley.
I'm so sorry, buddy.
The best cameo. There we go, Barney. He's
Yeah,
covering his
you
ears
really
like this,
should, yeah.
holding on for
The
dear
only
life.
the only person that could have genuinely made me happy was in that end credit scene.
I screamed.
We screamed. We
squeaked.
screamed
Someone
at
told me about
J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson.
Someone
Yeah.
spoiled it
was
for
wonderful.
me.
Oh gosh.
I hope Barney's not hearing. He's in pain.
For,
He's in
so
severe pain.
For that to happen, like it changes the game in terms of a lot of what's possible for casting in the MCU going forward. Like if you're like, hey, what about Deadpool? Like obviously people love Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
I think that's almost the one. From what I've heard, that's kind of the one guarantee. They're not going to change Ryan Reynolds
Yeah,
as Deadpool.
like-
They're not going to
I
change.
heard
the
that
rating
Ryan
on that.
Reynolds. Someone was Drew, who's my brother.
Yeah.
He's a giant. He has Deadpool tattoos all over him. He absolutely loves Deadpool. Like I think that's the only comic book he reads.
He's a fun comic to read, but like for them to do that, like and for him to then reveal Peter's identity through Mysterio, like I was not seeing that coming at all. Like, it's like, Mysterio, you got me one last time.
It was probably the most impactful or the one that I can remember. I mean, there's 22 films, so I could be wrong here, but it was very impactful.
How the scene before that, how he's talking to Aunt May and Happy, he's like, you guys know how I like my privacy and all this other stuff. It's like, they're setting them up, and then JJ comes on.
And he's like, what? Like, I was with Peter on that one. I'm like, that's how I feel.
But like, I feel like that actually opens up the movie a lot more, because then like now he can like,
he can be Peter.
He can be Peter.
He has to be.
I'm curious to see if there is, because as of this video, there has not. We don't know what the Comic-Con announcement is for Phase 4. There could be, new Avengers. There could be Spidey in that if contracts work out. Who knows?
I hope he still stays around.
I wonder how that scene will impact future appearances if Spider-Man is in another movie that isn't Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man, all like the really, really good Spider-Man stories are like Spider-Man fighting also against like New York too.
Are we good with that end credit scene?
I think we're good, Barney. We're good. You're safe.
There's one last thing I want to say about it that is not relevant to the spoiler. I promise, Barney. Is what do you guys think that building, the Avengers building, is going to be? Baxter or Osborn?
I think it's gonna be Baxter.
I think Baxter.
I'm hoping Baxter too.
I'm hoping Baxter
they want to move forward.
I'm hoping
that
I hope that the new I hope
in
that
terms
the new
of
Avengers
Fantastic
movie
Four being in the MCU. Yeah.
I hope that the new Avengers movie is actually they don't use Doctor Doom at all, and they save him for the Avengers.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I like my first like really, really big exposure to how good of a villain Doctor Doom was in Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1. Like I absolutely loved Doctor Doom in that game.
Can't wait for 3 on Friday.
I can't wait. We're gonna stream it.
We'll do a separate live stream episode.
Can we network that? Because I'll stream from mine too.
Sure.
Can multi-stream.
Yeah. And on that note, thank you so much for watching this episode of Knights of the Dirty Table. What did you think of Spider-Man Far From Home? Feel free to let us know down in the comments. We would love to hear from you, and we will see you next time. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.